so in this question, it's given you a quadratic graph, y equals to x squared minus 4x, and it's asked you to complete the table of values. So if this was the first question I'd attempted on these quadratic graphs, I would follow the method I'm about to show you, where you extend your table. I've done this to the right as it wouldn't fit below, but in your exam typically there would be a bit of space below so you could extend the table like I've shown. So first of all, I'm going to work out the x squared column. That means I take my x value and I square it. So negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. 0 squared, 0 times 0 is 0. 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared, and 5 squared. Now my next part told me to do negative 4 times my x value. So I've got to do negative 4 times negative 1, which is positive 4, as two negatives make a positive. Negative 4 times 0 is 0. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 12. Negative 16. And negative 20. So now I've worked out each of my parts, I need to combine them to find my y. So therefore I've got to do my x squared plus my negative 4x. So 1 plus 4 is 5. 0 plus 0 is 0, and that agrees with the answer they've got. 1 plus negative 4 is negative 3. 4 plus negative 8 is negative 4. 9 plus negative 12 is negative 3, and that agrees with the answer they've given. 16 plus negative 16 is 0. 25 plus negative 20 is 5. That agrees with the answer they have given as well. So now, typically in my exam, I would have to plot these points. However, it's already been drawn for you and you've got to select the right one. So let's start by looking at these coordinates. I know the first one I need to go across to -1 and up to 5. Straight away, only one graph goes through that point, so I know it's going to be B. It'd be quite useful to go through and check though that the rest are also correct. So 0, 0, yes. 1, negative 3, yes. 2, negative 4. 3, negative 3. 4, 0. And finally 5, 5. Each of those points, as you can see, are on my graph. In my second question, I'm going to use the technique where we do it in our head. As you get more experience with these questions, you won't have to draw the table out, but please do draw the table if it still confuses you and you need a bit of extra working out. So I'm going to start with x is 0 to begin with. So when x is 0, I've got 2 times 0 squared, which is 0, plus 0 gives me 0. I'm going to try x is 2 now. So it's 2 times 2 squared. Well, 2 squared is 4, times by 2 is 8, then plus 2 is 10. And finally, my negative, we've got negative 2 squared, which is positive 4, times by the 2 is positive 8, plus negative 2 is 6. Now we can just identify which line it is. So we know it has to go through 0, 0. We know it goes through negative 1, 1. There's only one line which goes through both of those points, and again that line is going to be B. If you want to check the rest of the coordinates, you can. Question 3. It's asked which of the points below do not lie on the curve. And we have been given the curve y equals to x squared. So if we look at A, we know that x is equal to 3 over 2 and y is equal to 9 over 2. So if we substitute our x value into our equation, we would get y is equal to 3 over 2 squared, which is the same as 3 over 2 times 3 over 2, which is equal to 9 over 4. That does not equal my y value, so therefore A does not lie on the curve. Let's check it for B. So when x is -1, y is 1. So we know that y is equal to this x value squared. Well, minus 1 squared is positive 1, so that does work. So b does lie on the line. Let's check it for c. So x is 4, y is 16. We know that y is equal to my x value squared. Well, 4 squared is 16, yes, that works. And finally, let's check it for d. We know that x is 1/2, y is 1/4, so y is equal to 1/2 squared, which is equal to 1/4. That also works. So the only one not on the curve is A. So here in question 4, we've got to complete the table of values. Again, I would recommend extending your table and working out x squared minus 2x and minus 3 separately before getting your answer. Because I don't have any room, I'm just going to complete it in my head. We're going to go through it bit by bit. So let's start with x is 0. We know it's going to be 0, subtract 2 times 0, subtract 3, which is negative 3. Then if we try x is 1, we've got 1 squared, which is 1. Take away 2 times 1, which is so far negative 1. Subtract 3, we get negative 4. Next one, 3 squared is 9. Subtract 2 times 3, that's 6. So 9 subtract 6 is positive 3. Subtract 3 gives me 0. And then we go back to our negatives. Negative 2 squared is 4. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. So 4 plus 4 is 8. Subtract 3, and we get 5. Now we can work out which line is plotted correctly. We know that it's got to go through negative 2, 5. There's only one line which does that, so our answer would be A. The second part to B asks you to estimate the value of y when x is 2.5. So we need to draw a straight line at x equals to 2.5. Where that crosses your curve, which we've correctly identified, will give you your estimate for y. So we can just draw it across. So that's coming out about negative 1.6. Find the value of x when y is 1. We are looking for our line to go across at y equals to 1. And we're looking at where it crosses. And we're going to read off our x value this time. And we can see that roughly is about minus 1.2. Our next question. It's told you that the graph is shown already. And it wants you to find estimates of the solutions. And there's a clue there, solutions, we're expecting 2. It's asked for the estimates of the solutions at 4x squared minus 4x minus 1 equals 0. So we are looking for where the graph hits y is equal to 0. This is also known as your x-axis. So if we highlight our line, our x-axis, we are looking for 2 points where our curve crosses. You can see from your graph that that is roughly x is equal to negative 0.2. Just be careful on the scale. Each box is worth 0.5. And our second solution, x is equal to 1.2. You'll notice that our second question changes slightly to the first because it's equal to 2 this time. So this is the line y equals to 2. So we start by drawing that line y equals to 2. We again have to see where our lines meet and cross over, and that will give us our 2x values. That gives us x is equal to minus 0.5 and x is equal to 1.5. So question 6, our final question. It's again drawing you the graph y equals to 3x squared minus 3x minus 1. And it wants you to find solutions to these two equations. You'll notice that at the moment our graph which has been drawn does not match the equation which you've been given. So to begin with, we are going to rearrange this so that they look the same. That means we need to change that positive 2 into a negative 1. So we need to subtract 3 from the left hand side. Whatever we do to the left, we must do to the right. So therefore, we need to subtract 3 from the right hand side. Once we've subtracted the 3 from the right hand side, we can draw our straight line going across at y equals to minus 1. And we can read off our two values for x. The first one is 0 and the second one is 1. In our second part, you'll notice that the equation on the left is exactly the same and the equation on the right is x plus 1. So we need to draw the line y is equal to x plus 1. You can do this by doing a table of values if you need. So we know when x is 0, y must be 1. When x is 1, y is 2, 3 and 4. If we plot this on our graph, we would get this straight line. Now, just like before, we just need to see where it crosses our curve, and you'll notice it crosses at two different points, one of which is x equals negative 0.4, and then the other one at 1.7.